Hello, good afternoon. I'm excited. I noticed there's also a giant hole in my green screen. Let's fix that. Move it over. That's right. One moment. Technical difficulties. Hello, Flipper. Just gotta slide it all over. There we go. Now everything is in place and we're good to go. Everybody out there doing fantastic, whether you're just tuning in now or you're watching after the fact. What's up? It's me, 11D, and you're watching the stream. We're doing this thing here. We're doing it live. Yeah. Welcome, Fearsend. Good to see you, my man. Always appreciate you stopping by. Today, we're kicking off a brand new series, Web Dev Wednesdays. So much like with Make a Game Mondays, I'm really trying to double down on like the things that I really care about and, you know, trying to make my dreams come true and get to where I want to be. You know, there's two ways you can see it if you're not happy with your current situation in life. You can just be all upset about it and just be like, oh man, I really don't like where I'm at. Or you can do something about it. And I'm a fan of option 2, and that's what we're doing here today. Yeah, so let's get it. So here we are. We got my screen up here. We got the Angular tutorial tour of heroes. We got brackets up here. My interface this is where we're gonna do the coding, and yeah, the command line right here. It's where how we're gonna get around and do things. Let's get to it. So I'm gonna navigate, open up the tour of heroes directory. So I guess let's start out and let's talk about this here. What is Angular? Angular is sort of like a framework that enables you to create like a website, and you can have it work across all platforms. You can see it right here. You learn one way to build applications with Angular and reuse your code and abilities to build apps for any deployment target. So that's web, mobile web, native mobile, and native desktop. So my website is going to be like optimized for looking on a phone and on a computer, right? I'm trying to really get my name out there as someone who's capable of putting this kind of stuff together. So yeah, let's read more about this tutorial here. We're gonna read through it together. This is my first time reading it, so let's do it. Dive right in. Tutorial on the Tour of Heroes. This tutorial covers the fundamentals of Angular. In this tutorial, we're going to build an app that helps a staffing agency manage its stable of superheroes. That's pretty tight. Hey, what up, Kobe? Kobe Burton 1. Good to see you, my man. We got some Web Dev Wednesdays going on here. This brand new series we're kicking off this week. Super excited. But yeah, this basic app that we're going to make today has many of the features you'd expect to find in a data-driven application. Let me turn down the music a little bit here. As awesome as the music is. Oh, it's already down as low as can be. Alright. So, by the end of the tutorial, we're going to be able to do the following. Use built-in Angular directives to show and hide elements and display lists of data. Oh, that's going to be really good when I have like the lists of the projects that I'm working on and sort of the things that my goals, my objectives. Kobe says, sorry I haven't been here. Dude, you are no worries, man. I appreciate that you're here today. That's all that really matters, okay? You gotta work. I understand, man. I work too. I've been working. I know how it is. So, no stress. Don't worry if you can't make it sometimes. You don't have to be here every time. Just the fact that you're here anytime at all, that means the world to me, man. So, I appreciate you. We're going to be able to create Angular components to display details about the heroes and show an array of heroes. Use one-way data binding for read-only data. Add editable fields to update a model with two-way data binding. Bind component methods to user events, like keystrokes and clicks. So basically, we're going to be able to make an interactive website. That's what this is all about. So you can select a hero from a master list, edit that hero in the details view, format data. Okay. Anyway, at the end of it, we're going to learn enough Angular to get started, so that I'm confident that I can do whatever I need, whatever I want. So ultimately, the goal, I suppose, here is I'm trying to make a platform for my web presence and to really underline the things that are important to me and what I'm pursuing here. So, you know, obviously that's this Twitch stream. We've been doing this a while now, and it's definitely something I'm going to continue to pursue. Beyond that, though, you know, I want to really make exploring the world and, like, getting out and, you know, experiencing nature is a huge priority to me. I love going on hikes. I love exploring. So I'm going to be talking about that. Probably going to record a bunch of videos, upload it on my site. Yeah, and then I'm also, you know, trying to make websites. I'm trying to make web apps. I'm trying to get myself to a higher level of employment in the tech field, right? That's what it's all about, really. All right, so let's see what it looks like in this live example. This is what it's going to look like at the end of the day when we're finished with this tutorial here. So here's all the code and everything, starting up the server. Alright, so here's the tour of heroes. Here's the top heroes. We got Narco, Bombasto, Celeritas, and Magneta. You can search for heroes here. You got messages. So let's go to the dashboard. Oh, this is the dashboard. So you go to heroes, and look, you got all these heroes here. We can add a new hero. We can add me, 11D. Hero number 21. Alright, there's me. Cool. So we're going to learn how to make all of this right here. Magenta is definitely, clearly a fierce hero, Magenta. Alright, so we checked out the example. This is how it's going to look at the end. Okay, very cool. So yeah, you can click the two links to navigate between the dashboard, which shows the top heroes, and then it has the heroes link, which does links to another page with a list of heroes. Okay. And yeah, so you can, if you click on one of these heroes, you can change the name from there. You're gonna be able to click the back button. Okay, cool. Cool. So let's dive into it, shall we? Application shell. So we're gonna begin by creating the initial application. Now I've already done this, so I went ahead right here. We got Tour Heroes has been created. It's right there. We were in the environment. So I'm gonna scroll down a little bit here. We're gonna serve it, and we're gonna see what it looks like. A brand new Angular project right here. You guys are gonna see. Serve, open. All right. It's gonna open a browser to localhost, so we can see it running in the browser. Okay, building it up. Cool, cool. All right. So here it is. This is Tour of Heroes. This is how it starts. It's just a blank web page. Not very exciting, yeah. But we're gonna build it up here over time. I love this stuff, man. Like coding and developing things. So much fun. Like starting with nothing and then like building something over time is one of the coolest things that I've found in this world. Alright, so the page you see is the application shell. This is the application shell. It's controlled by an Angular component named app component. Components are the fundamental building blocks of Angular applications. Components display data on the screen, they listen for input from the user, and they are basically the brains. This is what it's going to tell the website what it should do based on the input of the user. All right, so let's make some changes to it. We got it open here in my favorite IDE, Brackets. It's an open source, free to use. Anyone can use it here. So the implementation of the shell is distributed over 3 files: app.component.ts, app.component.html, app.component.css. So let's see where we at then. So source file, we got app. Here it is. So let's change the title first off. We're gonna do that. So let's open up the component class file, which is here in TypeScript, app.component.ts. Very first thing we're gonna do, change the title from lowercase Tour of Heroes. Let's capitalize it. We're gonna be the best Tour of Heroes. Oh yeah. Now check it out. We jump on over here Look at that, it's already refreshed. It's already up there. We already made some changes to this website. Bam! Welcome to the best tour of heroes. Alright, so now, moving on. Let's open the template file, the HTML, and delete the default template. Alright, so we're just going to get rid of all of this. All of it. Goodbye. Goodbye. Oh yeah. Starting from scratch. That's just the way I like it. That's how I like to do things. I like to roll up my own. I like to start from the bare bones minimum and build up from there. That's how I've been doing it. Like, you guys don't know this, but I've actually been like a hobbyist developer for well over 10 years now. Off and on, but like I made my first website when I was 13. Man, I was 13 years old when I first started making HTML websites. Yeah, man, I've been doing this a minute. And then I was about the same age. I taught myself how to program graphing calculators. I was in advanced math. I had myself a TI-83. I read the manual and figured out how I could make math helper programs. And I wrote it on the calculator. It took me so long the very first time. But eventually I got so good at it that I could take my friend's calculator and I could plug in, and I made them math programs on their calculators. I made them like Pythagorean theorem, quadratic formula, equation solvers, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, like I'm saying, I like starting from the most basic level and building up. So that's what we're doing here today. We're starting with the most basic tutorial, and we're following along. So we got rid of the template, and all it's right here is title. We got a title tag now. So when we save it, you can see in the background here, this little command line is doing like that. Person says, cool, damn, I wish you could do that for me. I'm not a maths man. Hey, we all have, you know, different areas that we're strong in. You know, there's a lot of areas I'm not very strong in, for sure. Math and logic, that's my shit. But, you know, I have my weaknesses. We'll just put it at that. But yeah, there's a lot of, nowadays you can get all those math programs and whatnot easy. Anyway, so now you can see we got rid of that template here, and all we have is just this basic HTML. If we add in just a little bit more, we add like a div here, and we say, oh look, here's some content. It's that easy to get our website a little bit more fleshed out. We just build up onto it right there. Alright, went a little off rails. Let's get back to it. So, double curly braces, let's talk about that. So double curly braces are Angular's interpolation binding syntax. Now that's a mouthful, huh? Hey, no worries, Kobe, welcome back. So interpolation binding presents the component's title property value inside the HTML header tag. So in other words, by putting, it's like a variable name, right? We put a couple curly braces and then we put this specific keyword, title. And so it grabs the title from our TS here, this variable, and it plugs it into our HTML. I bet we can put whatever variables we want in this TS file, but we'll get to that later, I'm sure. Alright, so let's add some style to this thing. So most apps strive for a consistent look across the application. So yeah, we're going to dive into the CSS cascading style sheets. This is how you make the website look the way you want it. So it says just go ahead and copy this. And this is what we're going to start out. So we're modifying the H1 tag, H2, 3 tag, and we're setting colors, font sizes, all of that. So now just by adding just this little CSS, look at that. Now our title's blue, and it's got an Arial Helvetica font. All right. Oh, that was super easy. That was step 1. All right, let's move on. So the application, we got a basic title. So now, next thing we're going to do here, we're going to create a new component. Oh, this is cool. Okay, so this is new to me. So, using the Angular CLI, generate. And I think we got to close it down. Yep. So we're closing down the web server, and we're going to generate component heroes. And what this is going to do, it's going to create a new folder in the source folder called heroes and generate 4 files of the heroes component. So let's check it out. Let's see what that did. So now, over in here, within our apps folder, here's the stuff we were working with before. Make the title pink? Oh yeah, dude. You bet. Let's do it right now. Let's look it up. Pink hex code. Pink's one of my favorite colors for sure. Though I think I'm more of a purple guy myself. But let's see what it looks like coming up pink here. I'll have to host it again. Let's see here. Serve it. Alright, we're serving it. Let's serve up this website. And let's show the pink title. Yeah. Pink style. While we're at it, let me get the hex code. I should write this down for my, I have it written down, just not handy, but like my purple theme color, you know how I have like purple everywhere? I have a specific hex code for that. I should grab that actually. Let's not worry about it now. But check it out, that's how it is, look. You got that pink title, hell yeah. We'll leave it pink for you for now, just for you, Fearson. Alright, so anyway, so we generated the component, right? We generated that component called heroes, and what that did is in our app folder, we got a whole nother component. And just like the app.component that has the TS, the HTML, and the CSS that defines everything, it's got its own version of that. So, it's just straight up basic here. Heroes works. Okay. Yeah. So we got the constructor right there. It's basically just setting it up here. So let's see. You always import the component symbol from the Angular core library and annotate the component class with @component. That's right here. The CLI @component is a decorator function that specifies the Angular metadata for the component. The CLI generated 3 metadata properties: the selector, which you can see as app heroes, template URL, which is the location of the component's template file, so that's our HTML, and then style URLs. So that's, again, the CSS that determine how everything looks in that component. Cool. The CSS element selector app-heroes matches the name of the HTML element that identifies this component within a parent component's template. Now, the ng on init, that's a life cycle hook. It calls this function shortly after it creates the component. So that's where we want to put our initialization logic. So that's where we want to put like how it starts out. That's where we're going to load in the starting values for everything with our heroes. So our starting roster of heroes is probably going to be defined up in here in just a minute in that ng init function. Now, let's do it. Let's add a hero property. Oh, one quick note. Always export the component class so you can import it elsewhere. Yeah, okay. Cool. So, let's open up heroes.component.ts right here. And let's add a property. Let me see. Where are we supposed to add that at? Tell me. Oh, just right here. Okay. Right here above the constructor is where we're going to add it. So, hero equals windstorm. So I see there Kobe is asking, what's this all about? Well, my dude, I'm trying to make a website and I want to make it wholly custom. I'm going to do it myself because ultimately my goal with this whole thing, I'm trying to get work as a web developer. I'm trying to get hired so that I can do this sort of thing, and this would be how I get my bread and butter. This is how I get my money, is by developing things. Now, right now, my current situation in life, I work in the customer support department at a video game publisher, right? And I managed to swing it to where I spend most of my days working on web applications that help our department work more efficiently or do things that they couldn't otherwise do so easily. So for the last 2 years now, I've been working in HTML and JavaScript to create things, but I haven't been doing anything public facing. Everything that I've been working on is used internally within the company, so I can't really show you guys that. I can't show, someone that wants to hire me what I've been doing. And so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to create something that I can show to people. And not only that, but because I'm doing it live here with you guys, there's a track record. People can see how it was built every step of the way. And I think it's really cool too, Fearson. I thought it was a really good idea. I've been kicking this around for a few weeks now, and yeah, this is first edition. We're kicking it off. This is why I stick to cars. Hey man, computers is my cars. Like I couldn't tell you how to put a car together. I'm gonna take it to the mechanic for sure, or take it to my cousin. He's a mechanic. But yeah, you need a website built. You know who to call. We're doing it. All right. So now we're gonna utilize this here property that we just added. We just added the hero property. Let's use it in our HTML. So heroes works. Let's delete this default text, and we're gonna replace it with our first hero. So just like before, we have the property and the curly braces to pull out that property. So let's serve it. Serve it! Oh, but you know what? We're not quite there yet. I gotta do one more thing before it's ready. We're gonna jump back into the app, to that home page, and we gotta make the component. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna call the selector right here. So this selector, all we gotta do is in the HTML, just add a tag right here, and there. We just added the component right there. There it is. Our first hero, Windstorm. Load it up. What's your favorite car, Kobe? Like, what's if you could have any car in the world, what would you have? What's your dream car? All right. Cool. A real hero is more than just a name. So we're gonna take that hero property, guys. We're gonna do a lot more. So let's do it like this. We're gonna make it into a class within right here. Oh, you know what? Actually, this is new. This is a new thing. So create a hero class in its own file in the src app folder. Okay, so let's make a new file in the app folder. New file. And it's going to be called hero.ts, TypeScript. All right. Export class hero. So we're telling the computer here that we're creating this class, that there's this class that we're going to use. And it has an ID property and it has a name. So before, the hero was the property and the name was the value of that property. But now we have a class, and this class has multiple properties. Man, this shit gets deep. Believe me. Alright. So we got it here. We got it loaded up. We defined a class. We told it what to expect. So let's return to the hero component class and import this class that we made. So we're going to refactor the component's hero property to be of a type hero. So using this hero class, we're declaring that we are going to have a hero within that component. Oh man, how many times can I say the word hero? Okay, so at the very top, just like we are importing component to say that it's an Angular component, we're going to say import hero. We want heroes to be in this component. From, and we're going to tell it where to get it from. From the folder above this one called hero. Yeah. Awesome. And here we are. So our first hero, we're now doing it like this. This is new syntax for me. So it's type hero, and then we're going to define its values here. ID is number 1, hero number 1, and his name is Windstorm. All right. Put a semicolon at the end to indicate that's the end of the line. Very good. All right. So the page no longer displays properly. Yeah, it's going to say object. So look at that. Not quite what we want. We're going to get there though. Let's move on and see what our next step is. Because we changed hero from a string to an object. All right. So we have to show the object. So we have to get in a little bit deeper now. And we go to the HTML here. Alright. Bam. Like this. So we're going to declare a header tag. A header tag is going to be like big text, right? And this is how we access the name of our hero object within the hero's component. Man, we should be using different names. Saying the word hero over and over again, that'd confuse anybody. I can see why it's hard to follow along. Alright, don't worry guys. I got this though in the bag. Like, I do this like every day. I know how to do this stuff. So let's just sit back, relax, and watch it all come together. So name here. And we're almost done. Bam. It's gonna refresh, and there it is. Windstorm details. His ID is 1. Name is Windstorm. He's gonna be the Windstorm Warrior. Alright. Look at that. So now, our first hero is the Windstorm Warrior. He's gonna be our first superhero in our roster of heroes. Oh yeah. So let's format it with the uppercase pipe. Okay, we're gonna format it. Interesting. I think I see where this is going. So I think that's gonna change this to all uppercase. So now if we go here, bam, yep, look at that. Windstorm Warrior. He's a true warrior. Hell yeah. Okay, so the word uppercase. Oh, I don't need to know what uppercase means. I think I know. In the interpolation binding, so within the curly braces here, that says, look at this variable that we defined, we're saying take that variable and change all the letters to uppercase, right? Makes sense. So that's the uppercase pipe. So this is a pipe operator, this vertical line. So by adding a vertical line after the name of the property we want to access, I bet there's all kinds of these pipes that'll modify this. Yeah, so pipes are a good way to format strings, currency amounts, dates, and other display data. Angular ships with several built-in pipes, and we can make our own. Okay, cool. I'm sure we're going to touch more on that later. Alright, so users should be able to edit the hero name in an input text box. So we're going to add a text box. That's going to be our next step. So we're going to set it so that right here from this web page, you're able to change the name. Let's do it. The text box is going to both display the hero's name property, and it's going to update that property as the user types. So data is going to flow from the component class out to our screen here, and then from the screen back to the class. And we're going to automate that data flow and set up a two-way data binding between the input form element and the hero name property. Let's dive in. So we're going to take a look at heroes.component.html right here. We're going to refactor this. We're going to change it up. So let's we'll go ahead and just leave the other stuff there and see how that works. See if we can have it so that you can see how this is a little different. So we're adding a label, and this is where we're going to change the name. Input ngModel. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing with this ngModel thing, but we're just going to follow along, and it's going to make sense in time. Placeholder name. So I bet that is the value that it's going to put in there if there's nothing there. Alright, let's see what that does for us. I think it didn't like having the old stuff. Alright, let's take out the old stuff and see what that does. Oh, did I break it? Alright. Oh yeah, see, notice the app stopped working. Ha! That would have been nice to know. The tutorial doesn't tell us until after. Oh man. But basically, ngModel is Angular's way to add two-way binding. So it's going to bind the hero name property to that HTML text box so the data can flow in both directions. We can fill that text box with that initial value, and then the user is going to be able to change it, and it's going to actually change it in the back end. That's really cool. But we're missing something here. The app stopped working when we added that. To see the browser, open Development Tools and look in the console. Alright, let's check out the console right here. Template parse error. Can't bind to ngModel because it's not a known property of input. Okay, so let's get some more info on that. Although ngModel is a valid Angular directive, it's not available by default. It belongs to the optional forms module, and we have to opt into using it. So it looks like we got to add something else before we can use this whole ngModel thing and get two-way data transfer. So let's see what we need to add. Angular needs to know how the pieces of your application fit together and what other files and libraries the app requires. That information is called metadata. Some of the metadata is in the @component decorators that we added to our component classes earlier. Other critical metadata is in ngModule decorators. The most important of these ngModule decorators annotates the top level app module class. So we already generated an app module class in src app.module. Okay. src app.module.ts. Okay, right here. There it is. When we created the project, this is where we opt into the forms module. So we have this open here. We're going to import the forms module symbol from the Angular Forms library. That's this right here. So let's import right here. Import forms module from Angular Forms. So this is where ngModel lives. So we got that added, we imported it. Now, we still gotta do something else. We gotta add forms module to the ngModule metadata's imports array, which contains a list of external modules that the app needs. Pearson says, Survive just updated. Oh man. Oh, what did they got in that update, man? Yeah, tell me all about it. Alright, under imports here, we're gonna add that forms module. I'm definitely gonna have to check out that Survivio update probably after the stream's done, and I'll be playing tomorrow. Bet. Man, Tea House. So they added new buildings. Okay. Nice. That's really cool. I love when they add new buildings, new content. I love like how regular Survive updates. I haven't played a lot of IO games before Survive IO. I only found out about it because I got bored of when I died in PUBG and I was waiting for like my friends to finish out the game. I found Survivio and I started playing that in between games of PUBG, and eventually I liked it more than PUBG. It was really funny. Alright. Oh, you dropped here the changelog. So we added new building, tea house, new obstacles, vase, chrysanthemum chest, a melee weapon, Naginata, which I think that's like a short katana, if I'm not mistaken. And we can change your name in the team menu lobby, so you don't have to exit and come back. That's awesome. Nice. And a couple bug fixes. That's what's up. Nice. Thanks for linking that there. Appreciate it. Good to know. Alright. So, now that we added this in here, the app should work again. And there it is. Some content. And let's do it like this. Let's add right here. We're gonna do h2, and it's gonna be hero.name. And let's make it uppercase again. We're gonna utilize these things that we just learned. Bam! How about we call it Thunder? Look at that! Instantly updates. Thunderstorm Warrior. He just got upgraded. So many windows open? Oh my dude. I always have so many windows open. I'm like a pro computer user. I've been using computers since I was in diapers. I've been using computers like over 20 years. My very first computer, like to start it up, all you had was this. You had nothing on the screen. You turned on the computer and I had to be like, okay, run Windows. Shows you how old I am. Oh man. Yeah, I was blessed. I had my own computer when I was a kid. Like, not everybody is so fortunate. I'm really glad my parents did that for me. So let's see. Let's read this here. What's new? Pearson says, March 21st, awesome blossoms. Spring has sprung and so has the island cherry trees. Oh, that's what's up. The flowering season brings with it the tea house. Japanese-inspired architecture has a golden chest. Oh man. Nice. Might have a fun surprise or two. What's up? Okay. So, let's see here. Every component, we're going to declare the heroes component. Let's see what this is about. Every component must be declared in exactly one ngModule. And like it says here, I didn't declare the heroes component, so why is it working? Let's find out. So it worked because the Angular CLI declared heroes component in the app module when it generated that component. So it did it for me, in other words. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and open that up. src app.module.ts. And yeah, you can see right here, this line 6, it imported that heroes component that we created earlier. Nice. And it's declared in the ngModule declarations array. Right here, heroes component. Right there it is. Sweet. So we finished the next step here. And everything we just did here in the last few minutes, we used the CLI to create the heroes component. So we created our very first Angular component here. That's really cool. We also displayed that component by adding it to the app component shell. We applied an uppercase pipe to give it formatting. Right here, let me slide back. Bam! So there's the uppercase formatting. Yeah. And then we used two-way data binding with the ngModel directive, which made it so that we could have like the fearsome warrior. So we added the Textbox that has a two-way data binding. That's really cool. We learned about app modules. We imported the forms module in the app module so that it would recognize and apply that ngModel directive to give us two-way binding. And we learned the importance of declaring components in the app module and had a moment of appreciation that the CLI did something for us. Alright, let's move on to the next step, guys. Number 2, we're going to learn how to display a list. Let's do it. So we're going to expand the app to display a list of heroes and allow our users to select a hero and display the hero's details. Alright, so let's make some mock heroes. We're going to need some heroes to put on the screen. So let's do it. Excuse me. Eventually we're going to get them from a remote data server. Oh, that's what's up. For now, we're going to create some mock heroes and pretend they came from the server. So let's create a file in our app folder. Oh, I like this song. Turn it up a little. Woo! Oh man. So, we got our, close it down here, untitled. We're gonna rename it. It's gonna be mock heroes.typescript. That's not too loud, is it, guys, with the music here? I just want to turn it up a little. Alright, so we're going to use that hero class that we declared earlier. Remember, just not too long ago, we declared that we have a hero class. Well, we can use a hero too. We can use that hero class anywhere we want. And we're going to export a list of heroes. And it's an array. That's what the little square brackets mean, is we're going to declare an array, which is essentially a list, right? It's an organized list of variables. So we got Mr. Not So Nice. Woo! Man, this beat is sick. Alright, we got Narco in the building. Narco. Number 13, we got. Let's go ahead and, why don't we add you guys? We got Fearsome. Fearsome is gonna be one of our heroes. Oh yeah. Number 14, we got Kobe. Burden. 1. Yeah. We're bringing you guys into it. Alright. And then we got here, we got 11D. It's me. Alright. ID 16. We gotta do it for magenta. And if we got magenta here, Man, you know Blue's coming by. You guys watch Blue's Clues? Man, that was one of my favorite things as a kid. That Blue's Clues TV show when I was like a little kid. Oh man. Alright. So we got 18. Name. We got Rubber Man. Alright. Crank that back down. ID 19. Name Dr. IQ. Oh wait, that's a 19 out of 10. And last but not least, we got Magma. Alright, alright, alright. Oh, that's not a curly brace right here. That's a square brace. Okay, okay. Bam, bam. So, we declared our array of heroes. We got that here. Now, let's display it. We're going to open up our heroes components class. And let's import it. We're going to import. Remember back here in our mock heroes class, we have capital heroes. So we're going to import capital heroes from, and it's down 2 levels, mock heroes. Or it's just down 1 level. When we have 2 dots, that means it's down a level. You got to go to the parent folder to find it. I think that's what it means. Alright, and in that same file, this one right here, we're going to define a component property called heroes. We're just going to expose that array for binding. Alright. So we're going to get rid of Windstorm Warrior here. And instead, we have a list of heroes. Sick. Now, we're not done quite yet. Let's open up that template file, the HTML template, and let's put it in here. So let's clear this all out. We're starting here. H2. We got a heading, My Heroes. Alright. And we got an UL, which is a HTML tag for unordered list. And we're going to call it class heroes. So I think by making it class heroes, that means it's going to take in this variable right here that we declared. And back in the HTML, this unordered list, we have a list element. And we're going to put our heroes' names in here. Class is badge. I bet we're going to do more with that in a minute. And we're going to say hero ID. Hero name. Now, we're going to change li, and we're going to say star ng4 equals let's hero of heroes. Okay, I see what this is doing. So, we have heroes, which is the collection of heroes, and we're saying, okay, we want to look at just one of those heroes. So, let's imagine that there is a variable called hero. So let hero, let's imagine there's a variable called hero, and for each hero within heroes, down on this line, we're going to show that hero's ID and that hero's name. Okay, and don't forget the asterisk. It's a critical part of the syntax, so we got it. Bam, look at that. Look at that. There it is. We got the best heroes right here. We got Mr. Not So Nice, we got Narco, we got Fearson, we got Kobe, me, Magenta, Blue, Rubberman, Dr. IQ, Magma. It's all right there. We did it. Alright. So, the heroes list, we're going to style it. We're going to make it respond when we hover over and select. So, we're going to make it so that it's going to change in appearance when we hover our mouse over that name there. So, that's going to do it in the CSS. In that first tutorial, we set basic styles for the whole application, but it didn't include styles for the list of heroes. We're going to skip over this here. So we're gonna add some more styles. We're going to keep growing the style sheet. This guy right here. It says you may prefer to define private styles for a specific component and keep everything the component needs, the code, HTML, and CSS in one place. This approach makes it easier to reuse the component somewhere else and deliver the component's intended appearance even if global styles are different, blah blah blah. Define private styles either inline in the @component styles array or as a style sheet. Files identified in the component style URLs array. Okay. So, when our CLI earlier generated the heroes component, it created an empty CSS for us. That's right here. It's empty right now. So let's add some stuff to it. Oh, wait, no, this isn't what we're not going to add it here. Oh, no, we are. Okay. So it's basically just saying in this, let me see. We need to make this a little bigger so I can see. This guy right here. So when we declared the heroes component earlier, we have the selector, which tells it the very base app level thing, the name that we gotta give it in order to add this component, this app-heroes. Then we have the template URL. This is where our HTML lives that says how we're gonna lay out the information. And then lastly, the CSS file, that defines the style and how things look. So again, HTML is like the skeleton of the page, the component, right? But CSS is gonna put the paint job on it. It's gonna make it look all cool. So let's do it. Let's open up heroes.component.css and we're gonna paste in private styles for the heroes component. It says you'll find them at the bottom of this guide. Alright, so it says just go ahead and copy it here for now. Yeah, because they got a lot of different stuff going on here. We won't go into detail about all this just for the sake of time, but basically, like all this stuff is modifying our list to make it look cool. Look at this. Look, everything we just copied in just now made such a huge difference. Now look at this. The cursor turns to a pointer finger when we hover over it. You can see the color of the text changes, it gets a little highlighting, it moves a little bit. That's what all of these things are doing, is making all that sort of stuff happen. That's really cool, man. I think web development is super cool. That's why I want to pursue this. This is why I want to do this, man. Like, if I got to spend my days doing this, oh man, that's the dream. Make the text red, he says. Let's do it. Let's do it. Do you want it to be red like when I hover? Or just like normally have it be red? When you put the mouse over it, no problem. We're doing it right now. Oh, just kidding. I guess I didn't. Let me see. What do we need? What do we need? Hover. Oh, tell me you didn't. Really? Oh no, it's right here. This is where I gotta do it. Color red. Oops, not ref. Not ref. Red. There we go. Bam! There it is. Got it for you right there, Fearson. We made the text color red. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have it be where I'm at the level where I can be working with someone and making their website or whatever, and they say, hey, can you make that red? I'm like, no problem. Do it. That's the level I'm trying to get to. That's the goal, man. Thanks, by the way, for your requests. That's really cool. I love that you're engaging like that. Alright. So, we gotta scroll back up. So we added in the CSS here. We did that, right? Styles and style sheets identified in the metadata are scoped to that specific component. The heroes.component.css only applies to the heroes component and doesn't affect anything else. Okay, that's really cool. I actually really like that because in my day job, like I have my my apps, the CSS affects like everything. This encapsulates it. It makes the CSS only affect the specific part that we want. That's really cool. All right, so when a user clicks a hero in the master list, the component should display the selected hero's details at the bottom of the page. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that if we click on one of these guys, it's going to make some info appear down here. Let's do it. So let's add click event binding to the LI, to the list element. Let's do it. So right here, we're going to say, when we click on one of these things, we want to call the onSelectHero. We're going to learn more about this here. This is an example of Angular's event binding syntax. So the parentheses around the word click tells Angular to listen for the list element, the li, the click event. So when we click on one of these list elements, it's going to execute this expression onSelect that we've defined. So we haven't written onSelect yet. We're about to. We're going to write a method here, and then Angular will call this method that we're about to write anytime we click on a list element. So let's do it. We're going to add the click event handler. Let's do it. Rename the component's hero property to selected hero, but don't assign it. There's no selected hero when the application starts. So in our TS here, right here, we have selected hero is type hero. So we're declaring that there's going to be a variable called selected hero, and it's of type hero. And now we're going to write a function that does it here. So onSelect this.selected hero equals hero. So basically, if we click on a list element, it's going to pass the information about that hero to Angular in the back end, and then we're going to plug that into this selected hero variable that we just declared. Very cool. But now we got to make sure to display that info. It's not going to do anything yet, so let's do it. So let's go here. And at the bottom of our list, or let's say, yeah, we'll do it at the bottom of the list, h2 selected hero.name, uppercase. So we're going to convert it to all uppercase details. Okay. And we're going to declare a span there, ID, and then right in here, selected hero ID. So when we have a hero selected, we're going to be able to view more in-depth information about that hero. Oh, so this is literally what we did earlier. The same thing, we're doing the text box. So we're making it so we can click on one of the heroes in the list, and then we can go and edit the name of that hero after we click on him. So input ngModel equals selected hero name placeholder. So this is the same thing we had a minute ago. There it is. But we gotta make sure it's gonna have a glitch here. Look at this. It's like, no, something's going wrong. Can't read property name of undefined. So we gotta do something a little more. We gotta hide empty details with this thing, star nglf. The application is broken, and it says you can't read the name of undefined. So basically what's going on is we declared this whole selected hero variable, but there's nothing assigned to it. And computers don't much like looking at properties of things that don't exist. If you try to look at a property of something that doesn't exist, it's going to be like, what are you talking about? I don't know what to do. So let's fix it. And that's by design. We don't want there to be a selected hero at first. Oh yeah, if we click one of these, look at that, everything just fills in, see? So from the get-go, it looks like it's broken, but as soon as we select a hero, everything's fine. And we can change the name right here. We're gonna say Violet. Bam, right? So let's fix it. Binding expressions in the template that refer to properties of selected hero, expressions like selected hero.name, must fail because there's no selected hero. So we want the component to only display the selected hero details if the selected hero exists. So we're gonna wrap all of this in a div. Everything we just did right here. So a div is basically like a container. Everything in HTML can live within a div element, right? It's just basically a generic like container. Like think of it as sort of like a Tupperware, right? And it's Tupperware of whatever size you want, and you just wrap all your stuff. You can wrap in divs, right? That's how I think about it, more or less. It's alive! All right. So basically, I think what we're doing here with this ng if is saying like only if this thing exists, do everything with inside the Tupperware. Otherwise, put the lid on that Tupperware and tuck it away. Like we don't want to see it until we have a selected hero that exists. So let's do it. We did it there. Okay. After the browser refreshes, the list of names reappears and the detail area is blank. If we click a hero, its details will appear. So yeah, back over here on our web page, we got the list of heroes, but there's nothing below the list. However, as soon as we click, oh, I broke it. I didn't do it right. All right, what's wrong? All right, let's keep reading and see what I did wrong. Let's see here. Oh, it's because I said select hero instead of selected hero. You have to be very careful when you're typing in programming and when you're coding. If you're not exactly consistent, it'll break like that. So there we go. You got it right there. Bam. So why it works. So when selected hero is undefined, the ngIf removes everything inside of it. It basically puts that Tupperware away like we were talking about. And so we put away all the selected hero bindings so we don't have to worry about it because there's no selected hero. But then as soon as the user picks a hero, selected hero has a value. We bring that Tupperware out and we toss it in. And we let the user see all the details. Alright. Now, moving on to the next step, we're going to add some styling to the selected hero. It's difficult to identify the selected hero in the list when they all look alike. So, like if we select me, like you can't really tell that 11D is selected unless you look at the bottom of the screen. What we want to do is basically add some sort of highlighting or something to indicate that we selected that hero. So you can tell at a glance, like that's the one that's selected. That definitely comes in handy when you're like making tools and apps and stuff like that. Alright, so that's how we're going to do that styling is in that CSS. We'll make it light blue. Oh yeah, we'll do it. So the selected hero coloring is the work of the selected CSS class and the styles you added earlier. We just have to apply the selected class to the LI. So yeah, let's check it out here. So in the CSS, they already have selected right here. Background color, let's do light blue. Bam. Okay. So all we have to do, because the CSS already has a class defined called selected, all we have to do is apply the selected class to our HTML. So we're going to go to heroes component.html and add class selected binding to the li in the heroes component template. Interesting. All right. Let me reread this again and see if I understand. The selected hero coloring is the work of the selected CSS class. Okay. You just have to apply the selected class to the li when the user clicks it. Okay. The Angular class binding makes it easy to add and remove a CSS class conditionally. Just add some condition to the element you want to style. Okay. To the li. So what, we do it, where are we supposed to do that? Oh, okay, so it's right here. This is where it is. Okay. So let's do it like this. Let's organize it. Bam. And bam. Right there. So if the hero is selected, we're going to apply a CSS class. Oh man, I love learning new stuff, man. This is really cool. So when the current row hero is the same as the selected hero, we're going to add the selected class. Cool. So this is it. Bam! Look at that. It's light blue. Light blue when we select it. We can do a couple more things. I'll show you like how easy it is to make changes like this. You want to add, let's add a border if it's selected, right? Let's add a 2-pixel dashed gold. So check this. Bam! We just added it, just like that. We ad-libbed that. That wasn't in the tutorial. We just threw that in there just for fun, right? We can make anything we want. We can do like font size on the selected one. Let's up it. Let's make it be like a 20-point font. So now when we select it, bam! Look at that. The text just got so huge. I think that's a little too big though. Let's make it, turn it down to 18. Let's see how where that gets us. So that works. That works. Yeah, check it out. Bam. Makes it very obvious which one we selected. Oh yeah. Man, I love this kind of stuff. So, let's see. Yeah, so there it is. Just like they have it, we did it. We finished step 2 of this tutorial here. We displayed a list of heroes in the master/detail view. The user can select a hero and see the details on that hero. We used *ng4 to display a list. So we learned how to use that ng4 syntax to iterate through a list of objects. That's very powerful. We also learned how to use *ngIf to conditionally include or exclude HTML. Also a very powerful tool. We also learned how to toggle CSS style classes using class bindings. Man, look at all this stuff we're learning so fast. That's awesome. Alright, let's move on. Next phase. At the moment, the heroes component displays both the list of heroes and the selected heroes details. Keeping all of the features in one component as the application grows is not maintainable. You want to, believe me, man, I try to do everything in like one file at work, and I get thousands, like over 1,000 lines I have to maintain. And then it's like to make a change or like add a feature to one of the things that I've built is super difficult because I don't know these fundamentals, right? And I'm just doing it from scratch, trying to figure this stuff out on my own. Angular could really help. Alright, so in this page, we're going to take the first step in the right direction. We're going to move the hero details into a separate, reusable hero detail component. So that's sort of, I think, the whole philosophy with web development is you want to try and break things down into multiple components to help keep everything manageable. So, heroes component is only going to present the list of heroes, and then the hero detail component will present details of a selected hero. So this part down here is we're going to move that to a separate component next up. So let's go ahead and stop running this here. We're going to generate a new component called hero detail. Bam. And that's going to do everything that we need right there. It's going to make the scaffolding. There it is. We made the HTML, we made the TS, we made the CSS, we got it all. So, we also have a test file. Okay. We also, this right here, added this new component as a declaration in our thing right here. Just like before, it added it right there so it knows that this is what we're using. Okay, cool. So let's write out this template. We're going to cut the HTML for the hero detail out of this dude here. And shoop, we're going to cut that out. Cut. And we're going to put it in our new thing, this hero detail. This HTML. Bam. And we're going to change this just to straight hero. And this is just going to be hero because we're going to now use this hero detail, which is whatever hero we want. So I'll change all those names to hero. Very good, very good. Now, we got to import the hero property. The hero detail component template binds to the component hero property, which is of type hero. So we got to import the hero symbol in order to properly use that. So in our TypeScript right here, we're going to import hero from that hero class that we made way back when. There it is. So now we can use hero within this. Yeah, man. Very cool. The hero property must be an input property, annotated with the @input decorator, because the external heroes component will bind to it like this: app hero detail hero selected hero app hero detail. Okay, so we're going to amend our core import statement to include the input symbol. So we're going to go here, import. We're going to add input to our list of inputs, or for our list of imports from the core Angular framework. Now, add a hero property preceded by the @input decorator. That's the only change that we should make. Okay, so in here, @input hero hero. So that's going to allow us to input that value into this class later on, I think. If I understand right, that's how it works. So there's no more properties, no presentation logic. All the component here is doing is receiving a hero object and displaying it. That's all it's doing. So we need to show this hero detail component. The heroes component is still in the master detail view. It used to display the hero details on its own before we cut that out. Now it needs to delegate to this new component that we built. So it's going to have like a parent-child relationship. The parent heroes component is going to control the child hero detail component, sending it a new hero to display whenever our user selects a hero from the list. So we're not going to change the class, but we are going to change the template. So let's do it here. We're going to go to the heroes component template, the HTML here, and we need to add that element here. We're going to add here app hero detail of type hero. We're going to use that selected hero variable that we added earlier. So it's a property binding. This one is a one-way binding. Earlier when we made the text box, it was a two-way binding, right? But this is just one way. It's just the hero component class is telling the hero component detail class. It doesn't go the other way. It only goes one way. All right. So when our user clicks a hero in the list, the selected hero property changes, and we pass that along. The property binding updates hero in the hero detail component to display that new hero. So, yeah, we got it right here. We did it. Oh, we got to rerun our app. We got to host it here with this command ngserve open, and let's see where we're at now. It should be working as it was before. As before, whenever a user clicks on a hero name, the hero detail is going to appear below the list. However, now the details is being handled by a wholly separate component to what's storing the whole list of people, right? Bam. So we still got everything right down here. It's going to display like the name of the hero and the ID. Bam. So we can just add it right here. Bam. It's me, 11D. There it is. It's me, 11D. So that's it. This was a super short step. We just refactored our original heroes component. We broke it up into two components. And that's going to give us, that is a beneficial strategy to break up components into smaller components. And they're going to tell us here. We simplified heroes component by reducing its responsibilities. It's good practice in development to keep things as simple as possible. Have each component do as little as possible. Further though, we can evolve hero detail component into and add more features to the details section without worrying about our changes messing up this stuff over here with the list of heroes. We can just focus on that details panel and not worry about changes here breaking stuff over here. Further, we can do the same thing here. We can make this, add features here, add new stuff here, and the details, we don't have to worry about it. The details are still going to show up just like it did before. And even better is we can reuse this component in the template of another project later on down the line. So if you break down your components into the smallest possible sizes, then later on when you do another project, you can just take some of the components that you wrote earlier and plug it in. Just plug it right in and be up and running even faster. So basically, the more you develop as time goes on, you get stronger and stronger. You learn like basically new magic spells that you can just whip out on command. And yeah, that's why I love coding, man. It's so cool. So yeah, we created a separate reusable hero detail component. We used a property binding so that the heroes component has control over hero detail component. And that's what we did right here with this property binding. We said that the hero property in app hero detail is equal to selected hero within this class. So when it changes in this class, it's going to change it in our detail here. And we use the @input decorator so that our property here is available for that binding. So basically, by adding @input, we made it so that this component's variable hero could be modified by that parent right here. Very cool. Moving on, we're gonna go with services. Oh, this is really cool. So right now, that list of heroes, it's all fake data that we just made up. After we're done, we're gonna be focused. Let me see. Heroes component will be lean and focused on supporting the view. It will also be easier to unit test with a mock service. So components shouldn't fetch or save data directly, and they certainly shouldn't knowingly present fake data. They should focus on presenting data and delegate data access to a service. So yeah, basically when you're making an app or a website or something, your components that you're creating don't really care about the details of the information they contain. You're just sort of setting up the skeleton so you can plug into a service and get data from somewhere else online and feed in to your skeleton and fill it out. So we're going to create a hero service that all of our application classes can use to get heroes. Instead of creating that service with new, we're going to rely on Angular dependency injection to inject it into our heroes component constructor. Services are a great way to share information among classes that don't know each other. We're going to create a message service and inject it in two places. We're going to have it in hero service, which uses the service to send a message, and then in messages component, which displays that message. Alright, let's do it. So first we're going to create a service called hero. So generate service hero. So it's going to create a skeleton class. Bam! And all that has is the TS in this case. So that's generating a hero service class right over here. Let's take a look. In our source app, so we have hero details, we have heroes, and now we got hero.ts or hero service.ts as well. Look at that. That's cool. So this is a new service. It's an injectable provided in root. Okay, so let's learn a bit more about injectables. It says, notice the new service imports the Angular injectable symbol and annotates the class with the injectable decorator. This marks the class as one that participates in the dependency injection system. So our hero service class is going to provide an injectable service, and it can also have its own injected dependencies. So it doesn't have any dependencies yet, but it will soon. We're going to do it now. The injectable decorator accepts a metadata object for the service, just like @component did for our component classes. So yeah, just like our component classes, we have @component, and that tells us the name to import it. It tells us where we go find the templates of how it lays out, and where we find the style guide of how to dress it up. So just like that, it's very similar, is what it's saying here. So, let me pull it back up here. We have, what is it? Hero service.ts. Okay. So, our hero service class could get data from anywhere, from a web service, from local storage, or from a mock data source. Removing data access from components means we can change our mind about the implementation anytime without touching any components. They don't actually know how the service works, they just know how to lay out the data when they get the data. They don't actually care about what the data is, all they care about is how to lay it out and how to make it look, which is good, that's what we want. So that way we can plug in different sources and we can switch it up. We can say, okay, I want to plug into this web service and display all our info about heroes. And then later on we can be like, I want to use a different web service. And there it is. Easy. Alright, but for this tutorial we're going to continue to deliver mock heroes. So let's, in this service we're going to import heroes and heroes. Okay, so import that hero class so that we have access to it within our hero service. We're going to import it here. Cool. And then we're going to import that list of heroes that we made just a minute ago from, I'll show you guys here. So we declared a list of heroes within this file called mock heroes, which is right here. So we have a list of heroes, we're pulling from that, and we're going to pull it in the service. Okay, so let's add a method. We're going to call that method getHeroes. And what that's going to do is it's going to return a list of heroes. And the list of heroes it's going to return is that one that we just added right there. Right here, this list of heroes, that's what we're going to return. Return heroes. Very cool. Cool. So we have the hero service all set up, but we've got to make it available to our dependency injection system before Angular is able to inject it into the heroes component. We're going to do it below. We're going to register a provider, which is something that can create or deliver a service. In this case, we're going to instantiate the hero service class to provide the service. Alright, so we have to make sure that this service here, hero service, is registered as the provider. We're registering it with an injector, which is the object responsible for choosing and injecting the provider where it's required. Well, follow along with me for a minute. It's a little confusing, but I kind of get what we're doing here. Fearston says, cool, let me use this website. That's what it is, right? Eventually, I'm going to have my website up here. I have a URL, more info to come, and we're going to build it over the next couple weeks here. Each Wednesday, WebDev Wednesdays, we're going to keep at it. For right now, we're going to get through this tutorial so I learn basically everything I need to know about how to use Angular, and then we're going to be equipped to be able to really build this thing. Alright, by default, Angular CLI command ngGenerate service, it registers a provider with the root injector for our service by including provider metadata in the injectable. So yeah, right here, provided in root. That's what they're talking about, see? If we look there, you can see the provided in metadata is root. When you provide a service at the root level, Angular creates a single shared instance of hero service and injects it into any class that asks for it. So what I think it's going with here is we're going to back up to our hero component and we're going to inject this service into it. So registering the provider in the injectable metadata also allows Angular to optimize an app by removing the service if it turns out not to be used. So basically it helps keep the website, the app, whatever, as lean as possible. It only pulls up the resources that it needs. So hero service right here, it's all ready to plug into our heroes component. I was right. We're going to do it here. Okay, so let's go to our heroes component. Heroes component.ts, and let's import. We're going to delete this, and instead of directly importing that list of heroes, we're going to import that service, and the service is going to feed us the information to generate our list of heroes. And again, like this heroes component class, it doesn't really care like what the actual info is. It just knows that it's dealing with heroes and it has a service that's going to pass it the heroes it needs to fill in the information. Alright, so let's replace the definition of the heroes property with just a simple declaration. Okay, so instead of setting it to a value, we're saying heroes, we expect it to be an array of hero objects. And now let's inject this hero service. We're gonna add this to the constructor. Oh yeah, sick. So when we construct this here heroes component, now it's gonna inject this service and feed it with the information. Very cool. So the parameter simultaneously defines a private hero service property and it identifies it as a hero service injection site. So when Angular creates a heroes component, the dependency injection system is going to set it so the hero service parameter, we only have one hero service, it's going to get plugged in to there. Very cool. So let's create a function to retrieve the heroes from the service. Okay. So right here, get heroes. We're going to declare this function. It's not returning anything, that's why we say void. But we're going to say this.heroes. So we're going to fill in this variable, this heroes variable, using the hero service that we declared below in our constructor. And we're going to say, hey, hero service, call the getHeroes function. So as you might recall, a minute ago, we created a getHeroes function, which returns this list of heroes that we have from the mock data source. So this hero service is grabbing a list of heroes from the mock data. It has the list of heroes there. And this hero service exists. When we create a hero component, when it's constructed, it says, hey, we're building a hero component. Can you give me that hero service? And it's like, sure, I'm gonna come over here. Now, we need to call this function. That's what we're gonna do next. And when we call that function, it's telling the service connected to it to run this function. And basically, in a very convoluted way, it's pulling it in here. Hey, Fierceton, you taking off? I appreciate you stopping by and hanging out for so long, man. You rock, man. Have a good one, take care, and have fun. Be well. Alright, so while we could call getHeroes in the constructor, it's not a good practice. This is something I want to learn. This is something that I don't really know so much, is best practices, so this is really good for me. Constructors should only do simple initialization, like wiring up parameters to properties. It shouldn't do anything, and it definitely shouldn't call a function that makes requests over the internet to a remote server like a real data service would. So if this were a real world example, the hero service would basically be connecting to somewhere on the internet and getting the list of heroes from somewhere on the internet. We don't want to do that in the constructor. We only want to do that when it's time to pull that info. So instead, we're going to call getHeroes inside the ngOnInit lifecycle hook. And we're going to let Angular call it at an appropriate time after it's done constructing. So we're going to do it right here. This.getHeroes. Sick. So after the browser refreshes, which we got to make it run, there we go, then it should run as before. It's going to show us a list of heroes and a hero detail view when you click on that hero's name. Very cool. So close that down and we're going to pop it up here in a minute. Gonna come on up. Where they at, though? Where they at? Where they at? So we got a list of heroes. We click on it, bam. Just like it did before, except now we have everything broken up into multiple different components. So that's a much better way to go about things in the long run, because it's a lot easier to maintain and expand and build on what you had. So let me see here. Observable data. The hero service getHeroes method has a synchronous signature, which implies that the hero service can fetch heroes synchronously. The heroes component consumes the getHeroes result as if it could just be instantly grabbed synchronously. And this doesn't work in a real app. The only reason we're getting away with it is because we're returning mock information. But when we have to rely on fetching info from over the internet, that's what's called an asynchronous operation. We can't guarantee it's going to be like that. It's going to be done instantly. No. It might take some time for that info to get from that remote server to the end user. So we have to factor that in. We have to tell the hero service to wait for the server to respond. We can't have it get heroes return immediately, and we got to make sure that the browser doesn't block the user while we're waiting for that info. We want the user to still be able to be manipulating the website and like looking at info while that's still loading in. So we have to make it so the hero service get heroes method here has an asynchronous signature of some kind. Thankfully, it can take a callback. It could return a promise. It could also return an observable. I know some of these things. So in this tutorial, hero service.getHeroes is going to return an observable in part because it's eventually going to use Angular's HTTP client.get method to fetch the heroes. And HTTP client.get, that returns an observable. So let's learn a little bit more about observables. Observables is one of the key classes in the RxJS library. In a later tutorial on HTTP, we're going to learn that Angular's HTTP client methods return RxJS observables. Here though, we're going to simulate getting data from the server with the RxJS of function. So let's open up hero service file. Let's do it. And we're going to import observable from RxJS. So let's do it right here. Import observable of from RxJS. Cool. So we're using this library here, and we're telling it we're going to use it. So, oh, this is sick. Okay, I see where we're going with this. This is really cool. So now this method, get heroes. Oh, buddy, it's okay. You want to come up here on my lap? Yeah, we got the little pupper here. Ziki's in the house, everybody. Ziki's in the chair. Oh, 3 cheers for Ziki. He's such a good pupper. He's a good boy. He's such a good boy. Put some fire in the chat, because it's hot. It's hot in here. Web development's pretty hot, man. I think it's really cool, like putting all this stuff together. Don't you, buddy? Don't you think it's so cool? Alright. Jumping back into it. So we're going to plug it in and make it so that our getHeroes method in the service, it's going to return an observable that's going to be of type hero array. So it's going to return an observable hero array. And we're going to do it like this. Return observable of heroes. So of heroes returns an observable hero array that emits a single value, the array of mock heroes. So later on in that HTTP tutorial, we're going to call HTTP client.get, which also returns the same sort of thing. Alright, so now that we have that set up, we need to subscribe to it in the heroes component. So let's jump back into that. The heroes component. So here's how it used to be, and here's how it is with the observable. So it used to just straight up just give us the array that we wanted, but no longer. Instead, it doesn't just straight give us the array. It's going to tell us, basically, it's going to give us a point, and it's going to say, this is where the info is going to come. So just look at this point, and when the data comes, process it. As I understand it anyway, that's how it is. So let's set it up. We're going to adjust the getHeroes method right here, and we're going to replace it with some code shown side by side. So this is what we got right now, right here. This is what it's going to be. So getHeroes void. Let's just clear this out here. So this, when we call this method, we're going to ask the hero service that we have injected into this class. We're going to say, hey, run your getHeroes method. And then we're going to subscribe to that observable. And we're going to feed what we get back, the result being heroes. We're going to plug it into the heroes property on this class here. Hey, what up, Bio? I have no idea what the fuck's going on here. We're building a web page, my dude. Heck yeah. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. So basically what we got going on right here, I'll show you. This is the tutorial for Angular, for how to get started with this very popular framework. So we have our tour of heroes here. We got a list of the heroes. And let me get me out of the way so you can see. So here's all the heroes we got. And we can click and select it. And what that does is it brings up details down here at the bottom of the screen. And on that details, we can go ahead and change the name of our heroes. So like, I can say, we got, what, Rubber Man here? Nah, it's Pedro. Pedro's our hero. And it changes it in real time. It's really cool. So basically, I'm doing all this Angular stuff so I can get a firmer grasp on web development using like the hot frameworks right now. You know, the stuff that people are like really using right now. And I'm hoping to eventually that over time, when I have like this track record of like doing this kind of stuff live, and I have my website, and people can go back and look at these VODs and see me build it over time, and like sort of get a picture of like how I am and how I think. Like it'll help me land some work. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're doing here. I'm doing this tutorial here so that I get as strong of an understanding of the fundamentals of Angular as I can before I start building my own site in the weeks ahead. I'm also making a website for Alec for his business. Yeah, man. So this is the start. This is the first edition of what's going to be a weekly series, my dude. Every week we're going to do Web Dev Wednesdays. And every Wednesday on my stream, we're going to be working on web development stuff. And I can't guarantee you're not going to be confused at the end of the day, but you're going to be able to see some cool shit come together, man. Like, it's going to be really cool. I'm trying to make my website like my personal platform for like everything that I do. So I'm trying to have it have information about the streaming I'm doing. I'm trying to have information about like websites I'm building, the tools that I'm building for the public, and I also want to write about like exploring, going out in nature, and I'm gonna like write like, it's basically gonna be like a blog for me too, right? It's gonna be like a resume, portfolio, blog. Info about my Pornhub and my porn career, yeah, man. That's gonna be password protected though. I'll definitely shoot you a link in the DMs. Alright. So basically, I just changed some stuff up here so that to do asynchronous data, right? I set up the website here so that it's pretending to pull information from a remote web server, right? Like you would do in a real website, and load that info up. Man, I definitely gotta get some hand lotion on. My hand's dry as fuck. Alright. Previously, we assigned this heroes attribute directly. Now though, what that meant though is because we were synchronously assigning it, the server might return the heroes instantly and we'd be all good. But it might freeze the browser while we wait for the response, and that's not good. Like, don't you think that's like the most annoying thing when you're on a website and it just totally freezes while it's loading something? No, you want to be able to like continue to interact with it and like have some sort of indication that it's working, right? That's good practice. So yeah, it says that doesn't work when the hero service is actually making requests on a remote server. So what we just coded up here makes an observable. So it's basically, it tells a service, tells this component we created, hey, like, this is where your data is gonna be. So just look here and wait for it to come through. And then our heroes component's like, alright, that sounds cool. I'm gonna look at that. And then the data comes in, it's like, oh hey, look, data! And it grabs it, and it fills it in the HTML. I don't know if that makes any sense. It makes sense to me. But, oh yeah, man. Let me see here. So this new version waits for the observable to emit the array of heroes, which could happen now or several minutes from now. And then the subscribe property passes, or the method, the subscribed method, passes that emitted array to the callback, which is then setting the info we get back to the heroes component's heroes property. Oh man, this is really fun stuff. Alright, I'm really enjoying this, by the way, man. Thanks for stopping by again. Well, checking out my experiment here. Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people are going to be interested in it, honestly, but that's okay, because I'm mostly doing this for me, you know? I understand, Kappa. Oh, man. By the way, do you like my, the hot emoji that I made? I also have a cold one. I put that together myself, man. Got a stock image and modified it a bit, put some 3D text on it. Alright, so in this section, we just created a new component called messages. Hey! Thanks for following. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, welcome. It's me, 11D, and this is the first edition of what's going to be a weekly series here on my channel. Every Wednesday, starting around 7 p.m. Pacific, we're going to be starting some web development work here. And yeah, right now we're going through the tutorial, but eventually I'm going to be working on my own personal site and then other things. I got a website queued up for my friend who has a windshield business. We're going to make him a website, and who knows. But each week we're going to be here Wednesdays. We're going to be doing this thing. I'm playing video games the rest of the week. Most days 7 p.m. Mondays, we actually have Make a Game Mondays. I also kicked that off. So, but Thursdays and Fridays we're playing games, and we have community games. So, yeah, thanks for stopping by, and appreciate your follow, Rohit. Alright. So, we just generated a component called messages. A messages component. And so that's going to display app messages at the bottom of the screen. Then we're going to also create an injectable app-wide message service for sending messages to be displayed. And then we're going to inject that service into our hero service, and then we're going to display a message when we successfully fetch heroes. Very cool. So we generated this component messages. So back over here in our source directory, underneath the app folder, we got this new messages folder just came in, and it declares in our app module right here, we got messages component is now declared along with the other components that we created through the course of this tutorial. Alright. Sick. So, let's modify the app component template to display the generated component. So we're going to jump back up here to our app.component HTML. Oh, little Zeker says he's getting tired of sitting on my lap. He says he wants to hop down. Okay, pupper, hop on down. Alright. So we have, on our website back here, we have this right here is generated via this tag, app heroes. This is all coming in through this one tag. It's really cool, this Angular thing. It really helps with making your websites and your apps and keeping things a lot more organized than just doing straight HTML and JavaScript, which is what I've been doing for the past 2 years. Man, I'm learning today. This is what I should be doing. So you should see the default paragraph for messages components at the bottom of the page. So yeah, let's run our local web server so we can see this change that we just applied. We just added this new messages component. Let's see what the default looks like here. 10% building, it's coming up here. It's gonna pop up a new tab. And then we'll continue on with adding information to our message service. We're just gonna verify, yep, messages works. It does in fact work. It's there. Oh man. So let's open up the TypeScript here and message.service. Oh, did I not do that right? Oh, so I generated the messages component, but I haven't generated the messages service. Let's do that. I missed a step. So we're gonna say Angular generate a service called message. All right. So we did the message component, which is going to hold the actual messages, but now we're making the service, which is going to feed that component with the information it's going to display. That's how that works. So let's open it up here. We have message.service.ts. Oh man. Badro said, I had a 40 viewer raid yesterday from a fellow streamer. Shit was nutty. Oh man, that's super cool, man. Ah, that must have felt like crazy. I know every time when I get raided when I'm playing a game or something, and just the chat just explodes. It's so bizarre, man. Like I don't even know how to handle it. I'm just like, what? All these people here. I just kind of just like the one time it happened to me recently, I was just like, all right, well I'm just gonna play the game, and I just sort of focused on like doing what I was doing, having fun, playing my sound effects and shit. Like I have like the for when we die, or like no, my peak is 40, dude. I had a 40 person raid like last week, the week before last. Or no, I think it was before I got sick. So that was almost 3 weeks ago now. Because I got sick for like a week and a half and I didn't stream. Because I was like feeling so sad.
Hey, listen!
But yeah, man, it's really cool. Or like, if we pick up something really cool, I can be like... I got all these Zelda sound effects the other day. I gotta get more sound effects. I gotta really work. I have to get like a huge collection of sound effects for my soundboard, man. Stream Deck, by the way, definitely a really cool investment. I think it's highly worth it for your stream if you don't already have one. I would add it to your list of things to get. All right, so let's fill out this message service though. Let's add some stuff to it. So messages, string. So we're gonna declare this array. I'm probably gonna pick one up soon. I think they have where it comes in white too. If you don't want like if you want to like make it match. I don't know what your setup looks like, but yeah, I saw that. So we're declaring this add message method. It's gonna add a message to our collection of messages based on the string that we pass in there. Now we're also gonna have a clear method, and what that's gonna do, it's going to take that messages variable we declared above, and it's just going to empty it out. My setup is a toaster to bathtub hooked up to a monitor. I don't think that's safe. Oh man. Alright, so this service is exposing its cache of messages in two methods. One that adds a message to the cache, and another that clears out the cache. So, let's go back to our hero service right here. Let's import that message service. So that thing that we just made here, we're gonna import message service from message.service. Bam. And we're gonna modify the constructor of our hero service to expect this message service. So when we generate that hero service, it's gonna make sure to plug in a message service when it makes that. Man, this Angular thing is super cool, my dude. Like, I don't know if any of this is making sense, but like, it's making sense to me, and it's like really exciting. I'm super enthused about it. I mean, that's why I'm still streaming, like, you know, almost 2 hours after I started building this thing. Oh man. So let's send a message. We're gonna test out this thing. So modify the getHeroes method to send a message when the heroes are fetched. Let's do it. So we have our getHeroes method right here. Bam. We're gonna say this dot message service. We're gonna call that add method. And we're gonna say hero service is sending a message. That message is, we fetched the heroes. Oh, come on. You gotta make sure to like really press the button in. Bio says, I'm sure if I just sat down with it, I get the hang of it. No doubt, man. Like Unreal and shit, absolutely. Yeah, man. Like I'm just following along on like the straight up Angular.io, the official website. I'm following that tutorial right here. That's all we're doing. And yeah, if you've done HTML, you've done web development, I think you've done that sort of thing. So this would be all familiar to you if you started from square one. I mean, I've already been working for like an hour and a half before you came in, so I can see how that might be a little tricky to just like follow along. But yeah, man, this stuff's really cool. This is what I'm trying to do. So we added a message. Now we have to display the message, and we're going to do that within the messages component that we created earlier. So let's import that message service into this message component from message service. Hell yeah. And we're going to modify the constructor to take in a message service. And it's a public attribute because we're about to bind it. We're going to bind to that property. So Angular is going to inject our message service in here when it creates the messages component. That way we can see the messages. Okay. So let's bind it now. We're going to replace the template with the following. So let's go to the HTML. We're going to get rid of messages works. And we're going to put in here div. This is basically an if statement. It says if the service that we've attached to this component, if the messages array has anything in it, if the length is other than 0, generate the HTML in between here. It's really cool. It adds if statements into your HTML so that you can like programmatically generate content accordingly. Button class clear. On click, we're gonna call that clear function that we added earlier. And then it's gonna be called clear. Oh man. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, like I've been doing web development stuff at my customer support job, but like applying for jobs and things and like trying to get a higher position, like when I say like I'm a senior customer support representative, that's not really an accurate picture of what I'm doing in my day job. I'm like creating apps and I'm like developing things, but I can't show the things I've developed because they're used internally. So that's why I'm doing this. Making things that I can just put out there in public so that I can, it's proof that I can do this shit, you know? Alright. Basically this for is going to say for every message within the messages array, print the message. Hell yeah. Cool. So this binds directly to that message service that we made. So it's only going to display the messages area if there are messages to show. And it's going to show each message. And then we have a button to clear that out. It's going to look better when you add CSS styles. Okay, let's do that real quick before we take a look and see what this looks like. CSS styles. Give me the CSS. Bam. Look at all this. They gave us all this CSS here. Let's just plug it in. Bam. Sick nasty. Let's get the local server running and let's check out these changes that we just did. Yeah, man, I'm like, so I'm not super happy with where I am, just like in general. You know, I want to get to a better place, and you know, so I'm not just gonna sit around, you know, feeling sorry that I'm not where I want to be. You know, I'm trying to take steps to get to that place. You know what I'm saying? So look at that. We have a message that came in. The hero service fetched the heroes. We can clear it, and then it disappears. There it is. So we just added a messages service, a messages component. Let me just read along in the summary. I'm sure that Angular can explain better than I did what we just did here. So we refactored data access to the hero service class. we registered the hero service as the provider of service at the root level, so it can be injected anywhere. So we learned here how to create services and how to plug those into components so that we can have these services that get data, whatever that may be, and plug it into these components, which actually tell the website, the web page, how to structure things. Very cool. We learned about Angular dependency injection, how to inject services into a component, what I was just saying. We changed a get data method to use asynchronous signatures. So that way, if we're waiting on information from a server, the web page is still responsive. Because that's the worst thing in the world, is when you're like trying to do something and it's like posting or loading something, and you can't do other things on the web page while that's loading. That's just poor design, right? So this is like latest web dev stuff that we're learning here. Very cool. So we discovered observables in the RxJS observable library. We used RxJS of to return an observable of mock heroes. The component's ngOnInit lifecycle hook calls that service method, not the constructor. So yeah, we learned a best practice about how, we shouldn't be doing things other than the basic initialization in the constructor. We do that instead on the Angular onInit lifecycle hook. Very cool. We also created that message service so that we could figure out how to communicate information between classes. Nice. And yeah, we injected the hero service. We injected the message service into the hero service. Awesome. All right. Well, my dude, thanks for stopping by. I think I'm gonna call it here, and we're gonna finish up with the last couple stages of the tutorial next time around. But this was really fun, man. This was really cool. At first, I thought I might just go for an hour, but we've gone almost 2 hours here. I think that's probably going to be a regular thing. Nice seeing you too, man. Like, I always appreciate hearing from you. I'm, like, really glad you stopped by. Thanks, man. Much love. Yeah, till next time. I'm going to be playing games tomorrow, next day. And then next week, back at it again. Make a Game Mondays. Going to be working in Unity. Web Dev Wednesdays. We're doing it, man. Chasing my dreams. I'm doing it live. You can see right here. Check the footage. We got the evidence. By the 2020, I'm gonna have a really solid foundation, and I think next year I'm gonna be in a really good position. Keeping this up. So, yeah, man. I'm definitely gonna be doing this again. And yeah, till next time, man. I hope you have a good night. I'm gonna take off.